Hello, welcome to HealthHope. We know that your health is important, so this program is designed to provide physical, mental, spiritual information and encouragement just for you. We will include interviews with health professionals, stories of courage and insight through difficult circumstances, and presentations based on biblical truth. We want to bring you the most up-to-date information and current trends on health and wellness. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Gail McKenzie, and I will be your host. I have with me today a very special guest. He's got some interesting things to share with us, and I know that it's going to be important for you and your home. This is Jim Murray that I have with me here. He lives in Nashville. He's lived here quite a few years, and he's going to talk to us about how we can make our homes healthy and safe. So Jim, I'm going to ask you first, by the way, welcome. Glad that you're here. Yes. And we're going to ask, first of all, just give us a little bit of background about where you came from and how you landed in Nashville.
Well, I was raised in the state of Ohio.
Okay, and, just a little bit north of us.
Exactly, just up the road, just a piece. And graduated from high school up there, went out to California to go to college and get an engineering degree.
Okay.
And I was there a very short period of time, and basically got a job fair. Got with a company basically who said, you don't need an education to do this. You know, come to work for us and we'll show you how to do it. So I said, well, okay. So I went to work for them and was making good money, and I didn't really see any reason to pursue my engineering aspirations. Then I met my wife, and we started dating, and decided to get married. And she was from Nashville.
Oh, this was her hometown.
Yeah, this was her hometown,
Gotcha.
And she basically was the only child in the family, and this is where Mom and Dad lived. So she was, when we started thinking about it, we thought, well, Nashville was the place to go, because back in those days, there wasn't a whole lot going on up north.
Yes.
So anyway, I came to Nashville. I really liked it, and yeah, so this is where we are today. Yeah.
And you started your career then in doing what? Explain to our viewers.
Well, I mean, early on when I lived in Ohio, my next door neighbor was a plumbing, heating, and air conditioning and electrical contractor, and his son was my best friend, and so on Saturdays I'd go in the store and help him, sort things and stuff, and then eventually started running service calls with the people there that did that sort of thing, and kind of came up through high school working for them. And so I had a background.
Some experience.
Oh, I got a lot of experience.
Yes,
yeah.
Great.
And so anyway, so I always liked it, and it was during the years of well, the dinosaur years, you might say. But anyway, when I came back to Nashville, there was a need for it. I immediately got work and went to work for a company here in town.
Okay.
And that's where I stayed until I decided to go on my own.
Okay. So then there was an experience that happened while you were working in this business, which, by the way, my dad was a plumbing and heating contractor, so I know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
just a little, maybe. Yeah. But so you're in this business, you're working, going into homes, putting in these systems, but something happened that kind of changed a little bit of direction for you. You got a little more involved in environmental issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, we go into these homes and stuff, and I saw kind of a big problem that I really couldn't put my finger on. And in 1987, the company got a call from a guy that lived just southtown Brentwood, and who was he was a doctor, and we got to talking, and the office got to talking to him.
Sure.
And then the owner of the company says, I think this ought to be something you ought to go out there and take a look at and see if we can do something with this. So I went out there, and this guy's wife was basically living in basically a plastic room.
Wow.
That was lined with plastic. And
it really was lined with plastic.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like that bubble boy we heard years ago.
Right,
they couldn't get outside the bubble,
Wow.
And I was just like, I couldn't understand all this stuff.
Sure.
And this guy had, they'd spent immense amounts of money trying to solve this issue. And so the company I worked for was really this was not their specialty field. And
they weren't really capable of.
Yeah, well, no one really was specializing in at that particular time, just this particular issue.
To find out what the issue was.
Exactly. This took a lot of more technology than most contractors had at the time.
Right.
And so, it was just like one of those people I had to finally look at, and just basically said, I don't know if I can help you. you know, and that was just a real sobering fact with me. And so I started searching why, you know, and then shortly after that, then basically I decided to leave the company I was with because I wanted to really pursue these whys. You know, why was these homes so dirty? Why was these, you know, why couldn't we get this done? You know, and so then you know, it's kind of
that's
you know,
how you got your
that's
start.
how I got my start in this,
Okay.
and it's just always been a an interest of mine.
So you started your own company.
I did.
Became self-employed.
Right.
Now tell us, well, first of all, maybe we might want to know, what did you find out about that house in particular, or how did you help that family, or were you able to?
Well, I was not able to help that family. As in the back of my mind, I was just really kind of telling that, you know, really kind of wish I'd have just turned around to this guy and said, just go find yourself another house and sell this one. I mean, because nothing's
like something
worth.
was there.
Yeah,
it was,
nothing is worth your health.
Right.
You know,
right.
especially not a house.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. Sure. Wow.
But you know, we have this instinctive feeling to sit there and fight through these issues. And I really think she was allergic to the house. I think the VOCs and the things of, you know, off-gassing and were just relatively new issues at that particular time.
Right. Now I'm going to stop you there a minute. Your viewers may be like me. I'm not sure what VOC is, so can you share with them what is VOC?
Well, they're volatile organic compounds.
Volatile organic compounds.
You know, found in different building materials.
Such as?
Plywoods, drywall,
Wow.
and carpets especially contain a lot of this particular stuff.
Okay. Some of the things
the
that are bad,
chemicals.
the chemicals.
Yeah, the chemicals and basically the blending of all these chemicals, you know, create a, you know, bad environmental.
Okay. So you, because of this family and because of that, you left your job. You're now you've started your company. Tell me a little bit about your company and what you do then. How does your company help me? What would you do to help me?
Well, basically in my Manure Company, when I first went into business, I was just a heating and air conditioning contractor.
Right.
And then basically things I just was not happy with, just basically replacing equipment.
I see.
And I knew there was other problems, and I knew how to basically solve those problems. So basically, instead of focusing just on heating and air conditioning equipment and change outs and things of this nature would always last people a short while, but those you know, those things always come back to haunt them.
Sure.
I basically got into, I can make these houses work better, you know, and once I made that commitment to myself, then I knew I had to kind of change my company, of what my company stood for.
So you kind of changed directions then?
Oh yeah, 180 degrees.
Okay.
You know, so I was not worried about, you know, getting the sale, say on that particular thing. You know, it was more or less, let's fix your house.
Right.
Then the rest of the stuff will fix itself.
Right.
You know, and then if you want a new heating and air conditioning system, well, that's up to you. You know.
Then you could do that.
Yeah,
also.
exactly. And then we could do that also if you want to save money or get something that's, you know, more modern.
But your primary focus then became how to help houses be environmentally safe.
Exactly.
From all of these chemicals and the things that we're surrounded with and that are in our home.
Right. And then
and let me ask you, where did you go to get some of your information?
Well, actually, they came to me when I basically made this decision.
Right.
Then a company, and I'll say they were from Rhode Island, because they're from a northern up in New Jersey, somewhere up there. Got in touch with me, and what this guy had done was make what is called an infiltrometer machine.
Okay. Say that once more for me.
It's an infiltrometer machine.
Okay.
Basically, more of the street name for it is called a blower door.
A blower door.
Yeah. And that's what this thing does. It basically pumps the structure up with pressure, or basically takes it down in a negative pressure. And so by doing that, then using a cool smoke, a lot like on an incense thing, you can follow this through and find all kinds of cracks in the house or building.
It's like a leak in a gas line where you put
to
see
you
bubbles
pump it up.
or whatever.
Exactly.
Yes. I gotcha. Okay.
Except for we just use what is called a cool smoke. It's a non-volatile smoke, and it stays together real well, and it's called smoke pencil. And basically, this smoke will just go boom, and you'll find it really quick. It's really kind of interesting. And these machines are so sensitive that you can go and tell a customer to go measure how much, you know, you open a window, and I'll tell you on this machine how much that crack is. And that's how sensitive they are. So yeah.
So they know how much
Exactly.
you've raised that,
Right.
if,
And
an
they can
inch or
tell
two
you.
or whatever.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
tell them.
And then basically through this computer, it'll tell you exactly how big that
Wow.
crack is.
That
you know.
is amazing.
Yeah. So with this type of technology out there, they were looking for contractors to basically, obviously buy their equipment.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And they came to Nashville. And I'll just tell you a quick story. They got in contact with me and said that, we got your name, and we understand that you might be interested in coming to a demonstration of this. I said, yeah, obviously. And so we made a date, and they says, well, find us 3 houses that are absolutely worst houses that you've ever seen as far as air leakage.
Wow.
And
Okay.
or you're on your customer list. And if you can, set up an appointment. We'll go. We'll demo this stuff with all kinds of contractors, and we'll fix the home, and we'll show them, and we'll just do it for free.
For free?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I had a real good
Should
customer.
have come to my home.
Exactly.
I may have some.
And so I had this customer that was really good, and everybody had been, all kinds of companies have been out there, and they just had this dust problem. I mean, for being a clean house, this house had a lot of dust. And anyway, so we, yeah, come on out and didn't try this thing,
Right. Right.
And so we went out there, and basically when we did, it raised the carpet in one room up 2 feet. That's how much air was pulling into the house.
When they blew into it blew up underneath the carpet.
Exactly. Well, yeah, basically it was pulling air up from the crawl space so much it raised the carpet up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and we was
Okay.
going, whoa,
All
you
right.
know.
Yes.
And I asked the guy, I said, have you ever seen anything like this? He goes, well, yeah, but not quite this bad. And so when we started examining the house, we found that they basically, we're not sure why, but basically the house had 2 floors in it.
I see.
Where there
A
was
subfloor and then a space and then another.
So basically they had like a sleeper, they had like a floor, and then basically they had like 2 before spacers going across this, so they had all these dead air, so all the holes drilled by the electricians, and basically the plumbers, and then the heating and air conditioning, got to make big holes,
Yes,
but
right.
nobody was basically treating these holes, and that's where this air
So it was just
it was just
being
coming up from the
sucked right
crawl.
up.
It was coming up from the crawl space into the house, and that's
Wow.
as because really all an air conditioner, one of the things an air conditioning does is pressurize the house.
Sure.
Sure. And so I just brought all this bad stuff up in it, But anyway,
my.
fixed their house. Everything was cool, and brought it all within thing. But the customer thought it was all great, and I go, wow, this is great technology.
Sure. And she had no more dust, or at least
yeah,
very little.
no, she had very very little dust, and always basically wrote me a good referral about it,
Yes.
and so yeah, so the technology came to me.
I see. Wow.
And when people started coming to me with these problems, saying, someone has called in.
Right.
So
The word kind of got out that you were
because there's not a
doing-
whole lot of people concentrating on this,
Right.
and there's still not a whole lot of people concentrating on this.
Right.
But anyway, so I made it my company focus. And we give everybody what we call a personal energy blueprint. We go find out what's wrong with the house. Say, here you go. This is all the technical tests, and here's what's happening to your house. This is why your utility bills are here, and this is why you have so much dust.
Okay, all right. So I get this blueprint then, and it just shows me. Do you even show areas where we're losing?
Exactly.
Or sucking in
right.
air from
because
other
this
places?
is part of the thing is not only doing a blower door test, but it's also doing thermal imaging with basically a thermal camera.
Kind of like an infrared.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Okay,
It's
that's
exactly
what I can
infrared.
picture.
That's the street name.
Okay. I like that. Okay. I can get that.
Is an infrared camera. And basically that'll show you right where.
Where all your leakage is and
exactly.
going out.
The temperature differences, you can really see them.
Yes.
And that's a big thing about when especially you're dealing with air, because people can't see it.
Right.
So once they see it, then they have a different, oh my goodness, we got to do something about that.
Right.
But water you can see. You know you have a water leak because there's damage and stuff like that.
Right.
But how do you know you have air leaks, and how much you're supposed to have?
Yeah.
You know?
What is a good ratio, right?
Right. But when you
because
see
you
that,
do want a little bit of exchange of fresh air. Is that right? I mean, into your home
Correct.
a little bit.
The standard 12 to 1,500 square foot home in the Tennessee area should have 1 square foot of free air coming into it at all particular times from outside.
Okay.
Now that's brought in through the windows, which are windows and doors, which are basically from the manufacturer, built to leak air a certain amount. So,
okay, right.
Because if you get too much of a pressure difference on either side, then you can't open your doors. doors or doors bang, boom,
Okay. Yes.
why did it do that? I mean, sometimes you have that in your
Right.
house where
Right.
a door will just shut, kind of thing, and
Just be
it's
sucked.
not really a ghost, it's air pressure.
Glad to know that. Yes.
But
That's good.
so anyway, so you want to balance, but
Right.
unfortunately, the average hole
Mm-hmm.
in this square footage of home in Tennessee is 4 foot. It's 4 by 4. So when we say you're heating outside and cooling outside, we actually mean that, because you got a big. If you just opened up one of your windows on a hot day, that's the extent
That's
of
what you're
it.
doing.
That's
Just
what,
really
what
trying
you're
to
doing.
cool the outside.
So as we try to control utility cost,
Right.
and do things like that, we really have to have how do we achieve what we want to do. And the only way to really achieve it is to have a blueprint of what's happening to your home.
So you know exactly what
Exactly.
you're looking
Yeah.
at.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this: what are some of the concerns with too much dust or some of that? Those toxins, you might say. What are some of the health issues with those kinds of things?
Well, they're actually huge, because the dirt is brought in from the outside.
Right.
And we call that infiltration air. In other words, infiltrating from outside to inside.
Okay.
And that's brought in several ways. If you have a crawl space, that crawl space is generally 90% of the problem in a house.
Now, crawl space different? Now, I know here in Tennessee, because we came from the north, we had basements up there.
Correct. You're right.
Down here, you have crawl space. So is a basement different than
Not
a
really.
crawl space?
Not
okay.
really.
It's just whatever's underneath your house is where you're...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because we really have to find or kind of define. The biggest thing about this is defining inside the house, which we call the thermal envelope, which is where you live,
Right.
to outside the house.
Okay.
And then we have these transitional areas, say like a basement or maybe like a garage.
Okay, that's attached.
That's attached, which
Sure.
is a whole separate entity in itself.
Yes.
And then attic spaces or upstairs, compartments
yeah.
and bigger closets. All
Okay.
these things create different dynamics. In the home,
Right. 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 And so some of the health issues, then, you're saying most of what we're getting in our home is from the crawl space, from underneath
Right,
us,
correct.
more than even maybe
Well,
up above us, or...
It's mandated by, and it's an old code, and it's mostly been done away with. But it's to basically have foundation vents, and these foundation vents stay
Right.
open all the time.
Right.
So basically, you're just pulling in. I mean, through your crawl space,
Right.
you're just pulling in outside air into that crawl space.
Well, I
which
close
is,
mine in the winter.
well, you see, unfortunately, you can't close them.
I know, you really can't. It's just that I'm not sure this does any good when I do it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
And,
I got you on that one.
so,
Yes, I've always wondered about that.
And I've never seen any real purpose for them personally,
Okay.
But
Whether they really help or hinder
but so anyway,
anything.
so the crawl space is where all the evils basically enter into the home at. Whether it be a basement that basically is not thermally
Right.
divided from the living space.
Right.
That's where all the moisture and the contaminated air comes out of the earth, including radon.
Right. Right.
And so that's where you have to treat it.
That's where you treat it. Now, say I were to come to you and I have a problem with, toxins or whatever coming up from my crawl space. How would you treat that? What is the standard, or what would be the first thing that you would suggest that you would do?
Well, the first thing is basically I take a lot of pictures.
Okay.
Because I just can't,
Okay.
get a lot of people to crawl in a crawl space. No, I'll just take your word for it.
That would be me. That would be me. I can
So
tell you. No.
So I take a lot of
Not
pictures.
going down there.
And
send other
then we
people
can see all the basically all what we call the chimney effects, of where the plumbing and all this stuff
Right.
has basically been,
Right.
and basically you have to have your plumbing has to be vented. So basically there's holes traveling from your crawl space all the way up through your attic and out. And so this just acts like a chimney effect for this air to travel. When it travels through there, then basically, obviously if it's moist, warm, and you get mold or and mildew, things of that nature on the back side of the drywall. You don't
even know that it's
there. You don't
there
even know
then.
it's there, because you got the moisture
Wow.
from the pipes.
Yes.
Plus this warm, moist air traveling up through there.
Wow.
I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
a soup of bad stuff.
I'm telling you what, I'm really worried about my house now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All houses are sick.
Okay.
Unless
I
we've,
have to have you visit
unless
me.
we've went to
Okay.
the doctor,
Yeah, really. Okay, so you would give us, you know, these pictures, and then how would you treat that, or to keep the all those toxins from getting up into the home?
We have these, you know, some wonderful products now.
Okay.
I mean they're just simple, they're lightweight, they're easy to use.
Okay.
And basically, the spray foams.
Right.
Anything to seal that, them holes up. I use a lot of just regular building foam.
Okay, that you can buy like at
exactly.
Home Depot or
Home Depot or anything like that. And I seal all those places up. You know,
any place where air is escaping.
Exactly. You know, and basically I divide and make sure that the crawl space does not communicate with the thermal envelope at all.
Oh, okay.
And so by dividing it, then I create a dynamic where basically that air being pulled into the crawl space cannot get into your environment.
Okay.
Now we have another issue, because most generally in our area, the crawl space contains a lot of things. It contains plumbing. Right. Contains ductwork.
Yes.
Well, if the ductwork is not sealed, you know, sealed up, then all that mechanical, air is going to create what's called a Venturi effect, and going to pull that dirt and that contaminant
right into the ducts that comes right up into your home.
Airstream, which brings in dirt. So a lot of the problems that we find with dirt is basically because the duct system is not sealed correctly, you know, and no one wants to address that issue, you know, because it's, you know, well, I just, you know, paid thousands of dollars here, you know?
Right. And now I've got to pay some more money.
Exactly.
Yes,
Now I've got to pay $1,000 more to get this done correctly.
Right.
But getting the ductwork sealed. So it's just basically removing and putting back the air it's taking out of what we call a thermal envelope. Not taking air from the outside, okay, or basically taking air from the contaminated areas like crawl spaces. Right. You know.
So it would just be coming through your system, your heating and cooling through the filter.
Correct.
And would be filtered then.
Right. Correct.
And that would be, that's a, you know, that's a good thing then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Once that's done, you know, which is a huge thing.
Right.
Then you have less dust, you know, in your house, you know.
Less work.
Less work, exactly.
I'm all for that, yes.
Yeah, I tell people when we go in there and we seal the ductwork, I go, well, how much time do you spend dusting?
Right.
And how much is your time worth?
Right.
You know, if you was to basically cut this down from, saying, 5 hours to 1 hour, would that be a benefit to you?
Yeah, yeah.
And usually that's to get a big yeah from the person doing it.
So we don't necessarily then have to have somebody come in. I mean, I know there's companies that come in and they really spray foam everywhere. I mean, they seal off every little crick. I mean, I've seen them advertise that. They seal everything off, but we could actually do that ourselves in sealing just.
Yeah, you just need to know what to do.
Right, and how to do it.
And that's pretty much what the blueprint will give you.
Right.
Give you access to information. You know, and even though you have say talk to a professional, what people really want to know is, how's this information transform anything to me? How do I understand, or how do I do this? Right. You know, do I need to? And a lot of people attempt to do this. Right. And then they just say, I can't do this, and then basically when they get to that point, you know, I just come do it. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But at least they tried.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, listen, that's it's great information. Now, what are some resources maybe that we could use or go to for more information on environmental issues like this that are in our homes? You had mentioned TVA.
Right, TVA has a, you know, TVA,
they would be one of the first maybe to go to.
They'd be the one. They have you know, they have a lot of information available free.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and they're a really good source to use. You know.
And it's a state, you know, so that would be good. I mean, they would know about our state, and they would know the things that we deal with here in Tennessee.
Exactly. So when you call them, they can give you touch with. There are several companies, you know, that basically kind of deal with some of these issues. You know, and there's some companies that are really good, and some companies that are not so good. Right. You know, about dealing with the end user. Right. You know, on a professional level, we don't have so much problem with them, but you know, if a consumer calls, then that's a whole different story. You know?
Now you're able, though, in your business, to be able to go in and give this blueprint, but then you can also, if we need a new heating unit or something that may also be faulty, because sometimes I know they can be really bad, because we had to do that. Ours was really bad.
Right, exactly.
It was not energy efficient, and I think it was sucking in everything from everywhere. I don't know, but but you can also go in and install.
Yeah, that's usually, didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, that's
usually that's, with me, that's the last resort. That's the last thing I want to do.
I see.
You know,
So you just really try to fix that home.
fix the house.
Fix the house first,
Yeah.
and that's then. And sometimes that makes the whole difference. Then.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be a
though
new-
people start seeing,
Right.
you know, and breathing the whole
Right.
different atmosphere.
Right.
You know, when they start
Right.
seeing that, then other issues can be addressed. It's,
Right.
It's kind of like buying a new car and putting recap tires on it. I mean, why would you do that? You know, so I mean,
Yeah,
and
not very-
in buying these heating and air conditioning systems today, it's like buying a car. It's like buying a car.
Right.
It's expensive.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, oh, it is.
And so there's no reason to put
Yeah.
the cart before the horse. If it's something
Right.
you want to do, just do it when it basically, you know, it's the best time to do it.
Yeah, or you need to if you have a very old unit or
Right,
old working
exactly. And then-
equipment. Yes.
Yeah, because
yeah.
the refrigerants we use today are not like the refrigerants of yesterday. So
Right.
if you do have an older system and you have to do work to it, you know, because of the phase out with refrigerations,
Yes.
you know,
yes.
I mean, you're almost, you know, to the point you have to upgrade your equipment in order to get, you know, any serviceable work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's been
The
you know,
things that have been bad for our ozone layer and all that,
Exactly.
they've really changed
Right.
a lot, haven't
right,
they? Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you know, the Clean Air Act. you know.
Right, right. Well, I know we put in in the last 3 years, a whole new unit, which is a, what do I say,
Electric?
heat pump and gas.
It's
kind
called
of
dual
both.
fuel.
Yeah, dual fuel. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's what we did. And oh my word, it's made a huge
Oh,
difference
yeah, exactly.
in just the cost of, you know, everything. But now, if we were to ask you, what is your, you know, your final word to our viewers, what would you encourage them to do?
Well, if you're looking to get something done on your house, is first of all, get the correct information.
Okay.
You know, because if you talk to the plumber's going to say, well, this is the problem.
Okay.
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 And then you talk to the heating and air conditioning guys who's going, this is the problem.
Okay.
And you talk to somebody else, they're going, this is the problem. So what is the problem? You know, so get the information
Right.
from somebody that's, you know, saying, I'll just give you the information, I'll explain the information to you,
Right.
and you can do with the information what you want. If you want to use me, fine. If you don't want to use one of my, you know, competitors, that's fine with me. If you want to do it yourself, I'll show you how to do it, you know, and you can have at it. you
Right.
know. But
Thank you, James,
Oh,
for being
it's
with
fun.
us
It's
today
good. It's
and
great.
for helping us to understand a little bit more about our home environment, and how we can get rid of that dust. Now, I'm
Exactly.
really interested in that.
That's a biggie.
Because it really isn't good for your lungs, even though, and
Yeah.
besides having to do all that work. But so I want to thank you today for joining us on Health Hope. And I hope that you have learned something and information that is going to help you to be healthy. Thank you.